Hi, Dennis Hall here with learningtemplates.com. We've just shown you how to add a e-learning launch button where you'll be able to reference this in the video. Now we're going to show you how to add a iframe into a course lesson or quiz. We're going to pick a lesson in this case, and we already have our Storyline 360 quiz. Now, whether you upload Storyline, Rise, Lectora products or Captivate products, the process is always the same of uploading these products, and the process is always the same of adding a button or an iframe into the product, into your lessons or courses or quizzes. So let's go ahead and let's add an iframe. So the first thing I'm going to do, I want to position my cursor to where I want that iframe to reside. In this case, I want it centered on the page. Let's go ahead and let's add this iframe. We're going to select our Storyline quiz. We're going to also have the iframe control the Mark Complete button. Now, for your information, in this area you will notice that you do in fact have the quiz itself showing up. However, be aware that this is not a dynamic area. It's not going to grow and shrink based on what you do for the iframe. So what I'll do is I'll make the iframe huge in every case, and you'll see that this won't change. It's still going to be that same product. So let's go ahead and let's insert this. Now this made for a really big iframe, and when you do, you'll notice that there are a lot of white area above and below the course. So let's go ahead and let's fine tune this so that it represents the size of the actual published Storyline project. Where we get the size of this from is specifically when you publish your Storyline project, you give it a size and width, typically, for example, 720 by 460. Now many people think that's for the project, but in fact that's only for the viewable area, for the course content area. You then have to add in the sidebar if you've got one, and a little bit of the header and the footer area, which would be your player itself. So just be aware that you will need to predetermine those sizes. Once you've done that, you can go into text mode and you can change the height and width using just these two parameters. And I'll explain this deeper later, but let's go ahead and let's make the height 420. And without even saving, we just go back to the visual mode and we can take a look and see if the project is. So I made the height a little bit small, and the way I can tell is because I've got extra padding on the width. So let's go ahead and let's make the height 480 in this case. By making it 480, that will increase the height, which will minimize the width. So we can see we're getting closer again. So 480, so I'm going to say 500 for the height. So that would make the height and width 800 by 500, and it's probably actually going to be around 520, the height. I expected that, around 520 for the height, and this will make it fit perfectly. Now what I'm doing here is I'm basically in an ad hoc manner resizing this, but the thing is you will know your sizes. So we can see that I've got the size perfect here. So let's go ahead and let's update this. And once we've updated it, before I go into the lesson itself, I'm just going to explain what all that iframe is. And to let you know that you can actually copy that iframe and make use of it anywhere you wish within your system. So what the iframe is basically my iframe is calling the course, calling the endpoint and the course itself, and basically collecting student data of the currently used user and creating this really complex URL out of it all. I'm then adjusting the height and width of the product. At that point, all this extra class stuff here that's been put in, this is actually not required. This only happened because I basically updated the iframe a few times. Don't worry too much about that. You could actually even go so far as to delete all of that. It's not a problem at all to get rid of it. And you can find that when at the end of mark complete equals 1, which is where you would change this to either control the mark complete or not control the mark complete. But once that's the end of the iframe, so we can go ahead and we can just delete this other stuff. It's not a big deal. And so beyond the width and the height, and then the fact that mark complete is selected or not, I can copy this code and use it anywhere in any course any time I want. So let's go ahead and let's click update and let's test our work. We're going to see if this course is controlling the mark complete of the lesson. So let's view the lesson. So here's the lesson here, and you can use CSS to style whether you want those frames to show up or not. I'll put CSS styling in one of my tips and tricks. So let's go ahead and let's test our quiz. In this case it's a quiz, and if I fail the quiz, the mark complete button will not show up in this lesson. So I'm going to fail it intentionally. This should give me about 33%, 40%. Now because I failed it, you can see there's no mark complete button. So let's go ahead and let's retry the quiz, and this time I'll pass it. This quiz has a 70% passing grade, so therefore I would need to get more than 2 answers correct. And we can see now that because the quiz is passed, my mark complete button is shown up, and I can now move forward into the next lesson. So thanks very much.